You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you with another Let's Play episode of Far Beyond the World. So, the last time we left off, we had just met Verissa, the tribe shaman. Tribe, I'm not sure. Village, whatever. But anyway, guys, she seems a bit taken aback that we speak her language, so let's jump right into it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you very much for watching. Here we go. I start the timer. Our alarm chant is set. Okay. Did it speak my... Don't get too excited. We mentioned your name to the human several times. No spiritual trickery involved. I try to contain a smirk at Volgar's remark. His pragmatism and down-to-earth attitude are really starting to grow on me. The female's eyes narrow as she moves closer, but she still keeps a safe distance between herself and the bed. So that's what humans look like. Her eyebrows rise at my appearance, and I swear I can hear a hint of disappointment in her voice. It's as if she expected something, well, something more than I have to offer. This one seems rather small, no? I throw an annoyed gaze towards Volgar. I know I'm not a bodybuilder like those two, but I don't need them to rub it in every chance they get. Yes, it does, but then again, I wouldn't know. Never seen one before. The female shrugs, and all my hopes of her actually giving me some medical attention melt away. How can she treat a creature if she has never encountered it before? Surely you have to know something. Ranok echoes my concern. Yes, Ranok, I know they are two-legged, upright creatures between 5 to 6 feet tall with little to no fur. Her voice conveys a sense of annoyance that I can almost relate to. I only have our text to go by, and they don't really deal with humans in detail. I don't think anyone's even seen one in almost 2 generations. If humans are indeed as rare as they make them out to be, how can they expect her to know any more than they do? Still, the idea of me being some sort of endangered species doesn't seem quite right. Almost as if I'm in a topsy-turvy world. Oh joy, this is going to be that more interesting to explain to his father. Who is Ranok's father? You've been making a huge fuss about him ever since I woke up. The two males look at each other, while the female seems to be completely focused on me, her expression full of shock, no doubt caused by me speaking. I roll my eyes, knowing the conversation is going to be derailed by this at any moment. He's the chief. She's sweating. Wait. Is she sweating? Maybe that's just a tuft of fur? I don't know. No, he's sweating. Okay. The chief is Ranok's father? I blurt out, thrown off by the revelation. Somehow, I thought those were different wolves. Wait. Somehow, I thought those were 2 different wolves. Okay. Wasn't that obvious from the conversation? Sorry, I didn't keep track of all the nonsense you two are spewing. What else did I miss? But if the chief is Ranok's father, that's surely an advantage. You weren't bluffing. It does speak our language. Unnerving. Oh great, here we go again. Yes, I can talk! I bark out in annoyance. So, can we please not do this again? Verissa looks at me as one would look at an insolent child. I told you, not a trace of an accent. We already kinda exhausted the subject. The kid speaks, let's just leave it at that. The gray wolf comes to my aid and I smile at him with gratitude. I really do not want to revisit this conversation. It almost mentally broke me the last time. Verissa sighs and nods in understanding. Listen, child. You cannot speak a word to anyone else but us. I furrow my brows. Being talked down and patronized doesn't sit right with me. They're not that much older than I am. I'm not a child! Then again, they are talking beasts. My ability to judge their age by looks must be somewhat limited, but I'm sure Ranok can't be that much older than me. He mentioned that he just came of age, right? Oh, how old are you then? I cut myself off, again struggling with this ever-present nothingness in my mind. Let's save it right here, guys. I can't remember how old I am, but I know I'm not a child. I'm of age. I summarize, not exactly sure whatever that means to the wolves, but fairly certain that for a human that's exactly what I am. Curious. You don't look it, she mutters, unconvinced. I would take it as a compliment, but I can bet it's another jab at how small I am. It doesn't really matter now, does it? My quip causes Ranok to laugh. Witty and sharp-tongued. The female looks at Ranok with a hint of fear in her eyes. This is serious. Oh, for crying out loud! Why are you all so obsessed with my ability to speak? Why do you want me to play mute in front of the others? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that saying, why do you want me to play mute in front of the others, or why do you want me to play mute in front of the others? Okay. I can see that she gets more spooked out with each sentence I utter, and it only frustrates me more. Are you telling me that humans are supposed to be some sort of primitive cavemen? Is that what it is? Because, let me tell you, this house and your outfits look like they're out of a fucking history book. What? It's a good house. Ranok glances around his room with slight confusion, while Verissa briefly checks out her dress. We know that your species isn't primitive. Then why do you want me to play dumb? She finally snaps at me with a soft, almost melodic growl. Because others won't understand. And we do? What is there to understand? I ask in resignation. No outsider speaks our language. We don't teach it to otherkin. She almost says it with disgust in her voice. The only creatures that can speak our tongue are other Avalon wolves. And huskies, but they always have this unbearable twang to the way they speak. You're speaking to us like you were born here. It's unheard of. Bordering on sacrilegious. She rests her face in a paw, rubbing her temple. Sacrilegious? Our language is a part of who we are as a people. It was given to us by our ancestors to keep in guard as our own, so that we only can communicate with them. We don't take kindly to otherkin who try to learn it. Teaching outsiders is a capital offense. I don't know why or how I would learn it. Which is more than reason for you to keep quiet. It's clear someone had to teach you, and from the way you speak, it was obviously one of our own. Not only is your life in danger, you could send the entire tribe into a frenzy. Frenzy? It's clear someone betrayed us and broke our laws by teaching outsiders to speak. You're the walking proof of that. We'd have the elders clamoring for blood. And that's the last thing our tribe needs now. More paranoia. This is all utter nonsense. I've never seen a talking wolf in my life. Until today, that is. I shrug. The female looks at me expectantly, but I have nothing else to add. Volker said you seem to be suffering from a memory loss. I'd say it's far more likely you don't remember meeting a wolf who taught you our language, rather than you miraculously gaining the ability out of the blue. Wouldn't you agree? I guess. I reluctantly concede. In all fairness, both options seem equally plausible, because to me none of this makes any sense. But I'm not about to argue that to the she-wolf who is convinced that her reality is more valid than mine. Especially since we apparently need her to save my skin. Now that we have this out of the way, let us deal with the more pressing matter. What in the name of Aluna is the human even doing here? I rest my cheeks in my hands, slumping down as Ranok begins to explain his entire misadventure. Let me say it right here, guys. I pay as much attention as I can, as some parts of the story flew over my head earlier. However, there are no surprises. Ranok went on his spiritual trip, couldn't find any enlightenment, so he decided to meditate underneath his tree. Mediate underneath his tree. Whatever that means. Apparently, that's where he found me, drenched in blood. I have to question the ancestors the wolves worship. If this truly is all part of their plan, it's a shoddy one at best. The whole setup seems more akin to a horror story than an actual spiritual journey, but then again, what do I know? I watch as the female listens carefully to what is being said, but she doesn't show any emotion, even when Ranok clumsily tries to implicate her through his coming-of-age ceremony, or suggests that I was part of some sort of dark ritual. She is eerily calm, or at least good at hiding her inner thoughts. That's pretty much it. The Grey Wolf concludes. His explanation and silence falls over the room. It drags on for a bit while we all look at Verissa expectantly. She keeps us in suspense a while longer, most likely weighing her options. Sweet ancestors, you are the dumbest wolf in the tribe, if not the whole of Avalon. She sighs again, not showing much of any emotion. Can you please help protect him? What choice do I have? Finally, something. A hint of annoyance. It's not exactly filling me with hope, but Vulgar proves me wrong. You really want to get involved? You've already involved me. Besides, otherkin or not, this human is not at fault. She looks at me with pity. From what you both told me, the human was out cold. It's Ranok who broke the law. I would not be able to sleep knowing that I am allowed to... knowing that I allowed an innocent to pay for his stupidity. I find it hardly fair to belittle Ranok like this, not when he saved my life. He... No need to speak. She cuts me off, addressing the two wolves. This is a very precarious situation. We are risking the fury of our tribe. I almost said furry. But, can you help us? I need to commune with the spirits. I may have an idea how to fix this, but I want to make sure our ancestors won't find it objectionable. Yeah, sure. Go huff some incense while we worry about what to do with this whelp. Again, it's hard not to chuckle at Vulgar's jabs. It's nice for once to not be the one on the receiving end of those. However, I find myself troubled that any plan involving my safety relies on substance abuse. Yes, I will huff some incense so that I can receive guidance on how to avoid us all getting banished. The female reiterates through her fangs. They keep talking about banishment, but I can't quite understand what for. If it's about me keeping my mouth shut, I will. That's only one of the problems. The female retorts, looking at me with slight annoyance. I guess she really meant it when she said I shouldn't talk, but I don't care. The forest around our village is sacred. No outsiders are allowed. So they said, but there must be some exceptions. There are none. Trespassing is punishable by death. Even Ranok's delusion about the right of sanctuary is just that. A delusion. She waves her hand towards the Grey Wolf in dismissal. Our people haven't been part of the Sylvan for nearly 1,000 years. Claiming ancient customs as defense for smuggling you in would be tricky, to say the least. The idiot should have killed you where he found you. I frown. Seems a bit harsh. Maybe to you, but it is our forest, and it is our duty to protect it. Protect it from what? I don't even know how I got here in the first place. What could I possibly do? The she-wolf sighs, looking at the ceiling with annoyance. I've clearly exhausted her patience. The human asks a lot of questions. I'm sorry, but you keep saying my life is on the line. I'd like to at least understand why. Just save it right here, guys. I get the language part, but what possible danger could I pose to your forest? I'm not an arsonist. The female continues to disregard me, causing a moment of silence. She throws an angry stare at Ranok, and I can see his ears splay back as he looks at me apologetically. They'll explain everything later. You said yourself you need a pause, and we need to focus on our next steps. I take a deep breath, giving him a defiant look, but eventually exhale with a drawn-out sigh. As much as I want to understand what's going on, a break would allow me to digest all I have learned so far. My mind is still slightly spinning from all the revelations. I nod with a reluctant smile, and I can see Ranok's expression lighten up. It's nice to know how much he cares about my mood. Somehow, I feel like that's not something I'm used to. Someone caring. We need to figure out how to present the facts to my father. And those are? That I was meant to find Orion, and that he is meant to be here. You're putting our collective fur on the line. The Black Wolf issues a stifled growl. He is, but as insane as that sounds, claiming it was all fate is our best chance. You can't be serious. Everything will be fine. The spirits willed it. For all our sakes, I really hope that's the case. The female embraces herself, looking at me with a worried, almost empathetic expression. This is going to be a tough nut to crack. I hope you two are ready for the potential fallout. Moon knows. I'm not sure I am. Remember your own ceremony? Ranok looks up at her with determination. Your road will be hard, but you must never waver or stray from the path. That was the message you got from the ancestors. He nods confidently, causing the female to stare at him with a slightly open muzzle. Hey, that's the first time I've seen her smile. None of this was meant to be easy. Verissa smiles softly and finally approaches me, stopping right next to the bed and placing her paw on my head. It's much smaller and lighter than Ranok's, however the gesture is equally tender. It's surprising that for someone so stupid, you managed to come up with something almost eloquent. Ah, come on! I hear the black male protest in the back with familiar mockery in his voice. Life will be hard, so keep at it. How is that a prophecy? It can apply to anyone in any given situation. He's a realist. It has nothing to do with the human. Shut up, Vol. She sighs, not even regarding him. I found Orion laying underneath my name tree. He knew my name, speaks our language. The spirits willed it. It's not a coincidence. Volgar issues an exhausted sigh. Or is it exactly that? A coincidence? Consider this. He proposes, drawing our attention to his paw. A confused human who speaks our language runs through the forest, stumbles upon a random tree, and reads the inscription. When it faints, it mumbles the last thing it saw. No spirits involved. Despite his crudeness, I have to agree with him on this. Even though I don't remember anything prior to my awakening, I might have been running through the woods, and if I did see a tree with a name on it, I'd most likely read it. And you consider this? The female speaks up, slight mockery in her voice, yet she holds her composure. If that was the case, then we're truly done for, all of us. She swooshes her paw around the room, encompassing everyone, even me. If it's all just a coincidence, as you claim, then the human broke the law by entering the grove. He's dead. Her paw points to me, which sends a cold shiver down my spine. I struggle to swallow as my throat clenches tight. I can feel a bead of sweat running down my forehead. This idiot is facing banishment for not protecting the grove from intrusion. She points to Ranok, then sighs, as her paw nonchalantly waves at the black male. Worse yet, you helped him smuggle the outsider within the boundary of our village. That's banishment for you, too. Not sure what double banishment would mean for Ranok, but I'm fairly certain his father would not kill him, even though the law demands it. I look at the gray male with worry. The consequences he's facing are almost as dire as mine. I guess Volgar was telling the truth about his friend not thinking things through. And then there's me. The female finally breaks the silence with a resigned exhale. You damn well know that I haven't finished my training. Everyone questions my abilities as a shaman. My very first ceremony, my first communion with the spirit world, and I make Ranok drag a human into the village, breaking our most sacred laws. That's the end of me being a shaman. She lets the word hang for a moment. And now you brought me here, where instead of immediately sounding an alarm, I'm trying to help you to fix this. The penalty for being part of a conspiracy is banishment. The female points to each of us in quick succession, starting with me, Ranok, Volgar, and finishing on herself. Death, banishment, banishment, banishment. So, she looks at the black wolf. This is not a silly misunderstanding, Vol. We can't talk our way out of this or use our positions to mitigate the damage. Shall we then all agree that this is the will of the spirits, or should we simply march to the chopping block? She asks with a melodic, almost taunting tone. There is a simple solution, but I'm sure neither of you will approve. Ranok issues a stifled growl. Then why bring it up? Just putting it out there. The black wolf shrugs. Snapping its neck would solve the problem, but it would be slightly awkward now that it has a name. Yes, he does, so you might as well start using it. I'm going to stick with Piglet for now. No point getting attached just yet. The black wolf tries to give me a cold gaze, but his muzzle is tinged with worry. We're all walking on thin ice here. The female shakes her head in dismissal. Don't you worry. I intend to save our pelts as well as the human's life. The female approaches the doors, opening it. So you know how to fix this? I already said I do. I just need to make sure I will not offend the ancestors. As she is about to leave, she stops, turning towards the two wolves. Our little congregation was most likely noted. I suggest we disperse not to raise any further suspicion. The wolves nod to each other in agreement. Am I to stay here alone? Orion, was it? Since you claim you're not a child, I assume you'll be fine on your own. I frown at her snarky remark, but nod in agreement. Vol, you keep an eye on the house. Make sure no one's snooping about. Ranok, you must go and speak with Tano. Why? The male scoffs, seemingly appalled by her suggestion. Because not joining your father on the hunt already looked very odd. Chat him up about rangers or patrols or whatever it is you fur-for-brains do. Make up an excuse to put him at ease. Who's Tano? A nosy bastard. And the last thing we need is him sniffing about. I don't understand. Can't you just stay at home? She looks at me with a slightly risen brow, clearly annoyed I keep talking. We are a tightly knit community. Meeting up in seclusion reeks of dissent. With that, she leaves the room, Vulgar following suit. Only Ranok stays behind for a moment, as if struggling to decide on something. Eventually he approaches me and crouches next to the bed, so that our eyes are on the same level. Ooh, what a perfect place to end it. Thank you, Alarm Chan. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Far Beyond the World. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next video. I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!